Hello, welcome back to the Caring Conversation studio, live from London. We have our last guest before the lunch break. Jay, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, York. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm full of beans. Just got my coffee, which is a bit late for me, a bit late in the morning, but there you go. So, Jay, do you want to tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure, I'm Jay Dodhia from Serena Care. My partner Palvi and I set up Serena Care about a decade ago now, and we effectively buy failing turnaround care homes, come in, refurbish them, make them fit for purpose, and repeat the thing. So we've got a group of care homes in the Midlands at the moment.
So obviously that's a slightly unconventional approach, right? Like, not everyone wants to buy a failing care home and fix it. Why did you choose to do that? And
Yeah, that's a really good question, York. I think a lot of people would like to buy the failing home, and just because of the value you can create through it. But there's a lot of people who want to buy an existing home and make it better, which is great as well. There's nothing wrong with that. The reason why we did this is because of capital mainly. It's our own capital that we're putting in. We have to be a bit mindful about what we can buy, how much we can buy for, and how we can grow. And that's the predominant reason. The other thing is my background in investment banking and private equity. And it's always been in a turnaround, special situations kind of element. I like to buy something that I can see, that I can work, I know that I can turn it around and the value can be created. And the backstop is the property. We buy freehold, and that means if everything goes wrong, we've still got a property there which will be worth something. That means we don't lose the shirt on our backs.
Yeah. So do you have a kind of base of rules, I guess, not to give away the trade secrets? If it's that, how many beds, location?
Yeah, I mean, there's no secrets really. At the end of the day, everyone will have their own kind of criteria, what they're looking for. And, what we started off with is not what we're looking for now because of what we've learned. And we're very happy, as you know, to speak to everyone and be an advocate and voice for the sector, because I think the more providers that can come in that can turn around these homes is better. At the end of the day, we've got a massive shortage of care beds. The new build homes, I agree, are fantastic, all singing, all dancing, but they're very concentrated in the southeast, and they're not replacing the beds we're losing, and we have an aging population. So the more we can do to make the existing homes fit for purpose, they have to be fit. The more we can do to keep the existing stock fit means we're creating resilience in the sector. And so I think that's quite important on a sector basis anyways. In terms of beds, it depends on where you're starting from. If you're a first-time buyer, go for a smaller care home, learn the ropes, and that's kind of what we did. We started off with a 26-bed home, and now we're buying, 60-bed homes. So you can kind of go up the value path. I think what we find is the sweet spot is around between the 50 to 60 beds. It's efficient from staffing perspective, it's efficient from operating perspective, and it's not too big to manage. Then you've got the beautiful 100-bed homes, but then those are very difficult because it's a lot more management, you have to have a lot more managers, and So again, just find what's right for you, see how you can make your mark, add your value, and work on that.
And what are you finding that really, so you go into a home, what are the first things that you do when you're turning around a home?
So first of all, it's getting buy-in from the existing staff, because generally we buy homes which are failing. Morale is very low, occupancy issues are very low, the environment's very dirty, tired. It's just not fit, like I say, for purpose. But the first thing is getting staff on board. And the way to do that is to have those individual conversations with the staff, making them, aware that they're secure in their role. You're not going to come in and look to change everything overnight. You want to understand how every home is its own individual, and you need to learn how it runs, what the dynamics are, all of that. But also make sure that you're willing to invest. So every time we buy a home, we have already know what investment we're putting in before we purchase it, and make sure we have the funding to do so, because it's very well and good saying, I'm going to come in and refurbish every bedroom and everything, but if you've got a 60-bed home and you've only got 20 residents, you're not going to be able to come in and do 40 beds in one day and not have it. So we have a phase plan, but we know what we're doing, and we know what we're going to do throughout the journey to make sure at the end of the period, all of those bedrooms are refurbished. And it's just making sure that's communicated very clearly to the families, to the staff, to all the stakeholders, really.
Yeah. And so how do you do that then? Is that, I guess from a business sustainability perspective, it's really important to get that because that's part of the value you're buying, right? When you buy the home.
Absolutely. So you need to make sure we're buying very well, that's affordable to us to whatever we're paying. And, we've got a lot of analysis we do before we buy a home. Our due diligence is immense. I bring in all my investment banking experience, my finance experience, property experience. Palvi brings in all of her operational experience. We know exactly where all the pitfalls are, what we need to invest in, how much it's going to cost us, and have a really clear idea, like I would almost say a business plan for each home. which has that level of detail within it. So we know that when we buy it, what we need to do to make sure we turn it around. And we've been doing it for a number of years now successfully, so I think it's a model that works for us. In terms of sustainability, it's really important, but we try and do it on a cost-effective basis. So we're trying to put in as much as we can in terms of technology, efficiency, everything, but everything has to have a payback. A lot of people like to put things in for the niceness of it, and that's brilliant if you can afford it. Unfortunately, we can't afford that because we're a local authority run with loss-making and occupancy issues. So everything we put in has to have an ROI to it, attached to it, and for example, we're putting in solar panels across the group, but the reason we're doing that is not only it's one, greener and more energy efficient, but the amount we'll save on the electricity cost will mean that we're actually not paying anything for the solar panels because we can get it funded at a lower cost than the electricity would have cost us.
Yeah.
And the payback period on those solar panels is less than 2 years for us. So it really it's those kind of things that you need to take on board when you're putting anything in.
Because I guess from the perspective of the industry over the last 2 or 3 years, has been hammered from a cost perspective. Lots of costs have gone up, and the amount of money you can charge is going up a bit, but maybe not keeping pace. So are you looking for gaps in there because ultimately to balance that model? Is it different to what it was in 2019 pre-COVID? When energy prices were a bit more stable, when staffing costs were a bit more stable, was it easier? Or is that, I'm not sure that's the right way.
Well, yes and no. I think costs in that respect were a bit more, stable, especially on the energy side. But staff costs have always been going up. Ever since we've taken over, the minimum wage when we took over was about £5, £6 an hour. Now it's more than double that. So effectively, those are the costs, and no matter what happens, the funding never matches the cost increase. So you need to find ways to drive those efficiencies and savings. The solar's become such an easy payback because of where energy costs have gone. Whereas 5 years ago, before everything happened in Russia and Ukraine, it wouldn't have been such an easy prospect to put in, but now it is. Similarly, the one thing you can't compromise on is the quality of care you give and the level of staffing you have and the care you have. But you can look at driving efficiencies in the back end, and that's what we're doing. We're building our own outsourced team in Kenya. I'm originally from Kenya, so we've built out a team out there who are helping support our homes on all the admin and back office functions. It's a fraction of the cost, but what we pay there is very high and very well paid for the local environment, and we're getting qualified chartered accountants to do our bookkeeping and things like that at a fraction of the cost of what something we'd pay in the UK, because these are not functions you need to have on site. You don't compromise on site, but off site. Does it matter whether we're working from, down the road or if they're working from another country? It doesn't matter as long as they're working, right?
So you're taking sort of non-care critical admin and moving it to a place where it's like, I guess you've now got a small chain of homes.
Yes, we've got a small
chain. Sort of almost centralise that into a head office function.
Exactly.
To save time and money.
And then we also have UK head office functions. We're not getting rid of everything. If it's critical and essential in the UK, we have on-site head office as well, so we need those. But it's that support and additional thing that you don't need to have on-site. You can then move it anywhere in the world with technology, with the kind of, training that we provide and the systems we've built up over the last 10 years. I mean, we were already, before COVID happened, we were already working remotely. Coming from banking, we always had a technology-driven culture. And then we had young children. And as Pulvi's been doing operations for the care homes since day one, but she couldn't be on site every day. So we had already set up these systems and we're just enhancing and building up in a cost-effective basis.
And I guess you can take the learnings from the different homes and apply them to new ones. Is there any, as a homeowner, talking to another homeowner, who are you recommending? What things are you saying? You've got to work with this supplier, you've got to work with this provider. What's a really good? Obviously, there's a big range of stuff, right? But
there is definitely a range of things, and at the end of the day, what I say to anyone I recommend is make sure you do your own research. It's right for you, because what's right for me might not be right for you. But things you need to be looking at is, first digitization. I think everybody's on it, but make sure your care system is not just a care planning system, because the care planning is one aspect, which is very important. But remember, it's one aspect. If you've got a system that does everything across your care side, so ours does, care planning, but it also does rotas, staffing, HR, resident admin, lots of different things, all talking to each other because it's all within one system. It makes a big difference.
Do you mind sharing who you use?
No, not at all. I mean, Care Vision,
Okay.
they've been fantastic. Honestly, we've been working with them for a number of years. Any issues, they make it right straight away. They're always innovative. They're driving a lot of things. We're also always looking to drive efficiency, so we're working with H2O Networks, Adam Abrami, and he's brilliant on the technology side, on the telephony side. So we've moved to a digital telephone-based system. We're not missing any leads. We've got all the numbers going into a central head office. We work with Connect Studios where it's answered off-site in a very professional manner if it's a new inquiry, because that's a big cost to us to get those leads in. So we need to make sure, we did a call service, blind calls to the care homes to say we need a bed, and we were very shocked by some of the responses we got, which is frightening really. So this has helped us to improve that side of it. We're using AI a lot. It's still very early stages, but where we can use it, again working with Adam, we're going to be putting in something whereby every call that we get in the care home is recorded, transcribed. If there's anything urgent on there, if it's like a medical call, if it's ambulance, paramedics, immediately you'll get an alert to the manager, to whoever you want, saying this incident's happened, so you're aware of any emergencies. Equally, if there's a complaint, you want to know about it, right? How to make it right. So having AI listen to those calls, send you those transcribes, that means that no matter what happens, you will always know what the feedback is coming into your homes. And yeah, it's very exciting times to do that. And I mean, that's just a fraction of what we're doing. We're using AI to monitor our residents as well, especially at nights, reducing their air. We work with Ears, Prad, who we met as well, and he's fantastic. He puts in a little monitor in the bedrooms. If the residents, start getting uncomfortable, start shuffling around, if they're at falls risk and they're about to step out of bed, Equally, if they start screaming and if they're in pain, and it's, working really well as well. So there's various ways to improve efficiencies without cutting.
So
staff.
there's tons of ways to make the care better while also saving money.
And
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
you hit the nail on the head. We want to improve the care, so that's the primary threshold, but it has to pay for itself.
Yeah.
And if we can marry the two, then it becomes a no-brainer.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jay. It's been nice to see you in the studio.
You're welcome.
Good luck with the rest of the show.
Thank you very much.
We will be back in about half an hour, 40 minutes after lunch. Thank you.